So every now and then you get a chance to chop it up with a guy named Mark Savant. How you doing, Mark?
Chris, I'm great. How are you?
Good. So I posted yesterday on X all the companies that are making cuts to their staff because they're replacing people with AI. And about a year ago, I started working in AI and getting enamored with it. And one of the things I started realizing very quickly is AI is the greatest threat to humanity, but it's also the greatest software mankind has ever built. It's a double-edged sword. And we're going to see AI replace people like never before. And I don't think people are ready for it.
Chris, people have no idea what's happening. Just a few months ago, I was engaging with someone in the comments of my YouTube channel, and he said, Mark, I see AI, I see robotics, but I work in a warehouse. I'm lifting stuff all day. AI can't replace me. And I said, just this last week, Amazon, an internal leaked memo from Amazon was released that showed they plan to replace up to 500,000 to 600,000 jobs with robotics over the next 6 years. People are completely sleeping on the threats to their livelihood right now, and it's a major concern of mine.
Well, I have a book coming out called AI or Die. And I think people have to understand that you got to get AI to work for you, or you are going to be left behind. You're going to literally, absolutely, positively be left behind those who do. And what we're also seeing is we're seeing the very rich, the elite, sock away money like we've never seen before. In fact, many of our politicians for the last 10 years have been money laundering taxpayer dollars. That's not an assumption I'm making. It's straight up money laundering. And they've been socking away millions of dollars because I believe that they've seen AI coming and they've literally realized that it is going to cause mayhem and chaos like we've never seen before.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't dispute that at all. We're seeing companies shell out tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars on data centers. Interesting story came out about a week and a half ago where a data center was blocked by the local the local city blocked this data center being dropped. I
Where
believe it
was
was a
this
Google
at?
data center.
Yeah, it was a
Any,
Google data center. I remember, I think it was in New York.
Yeah. And so this data center, which had allocated hundreds of millions of dollars, got blocked at the last minute. And it's a huge problem for these big companies. I don't know exactly where this will go, but all you have to do is kind of look at history because history rhymes. And what we are seeing happen right now is hundreds of thousands of jobs being displaced. We're going to have tens, if not hundreds of millions of jobs displaced over the coming years. And, there will be lots of new opportunities, but telling the person at a warehouse, hey, we don't need you anymore. We're hiring a robot. That person is not going to go out and vibe code their way to success. What is the solution for that type of person? That's the thing that I'm really passionate in exploring because it's the greatest shift in mankind, probably in the last century or millennia.
No, in our lifetime. In mankind's history, this is the greatest threat to mankind, period. There's literally no greater threat. In fact,
Yeah.
people say there's going to be lots of opportunities. I actually think there's going to be very few opportunities, limited opportunities. There is not a job that AI or an AI robot could not do better than a man or a human.
I see that comment happen a lot, but I tend to disagree. I think a lot of the big tech guys, visionaries, kind of have put this victimhood mentality out there into the ether that you're not going to be able to do anything because all these robots are going to do everything for you, and you're just going to sit on the couch and eat Cheetos and touch yourself and watch Netflix. I don't think that is a very, I
Oh,
mean,
by
it
the way,
sounds like something that would be
let's
good for a
let's
couple
be
days,
honest.
but
Let's be honest. If you're touching yourself while watching Netflix, you're watching the wrong channel.
that's fair enough. But regardless, like men need jobs, men need purpose, and if this is why we've lost practically an entire generation of young men, is because they've been told that sit back, you've had your chance, you've actually screwed up the whole world, everything is your fault. But good news. AI is going to take your job. Robots are going to take your job. So you're not even going to have to provide for a family. That is not going to work. Men need purpose, and we attach a lot of our purpose with our livelihoods and with the responsibility to provide for our wives and our families.
Yeah, I don't think people realize if you leave it up to the government to plan for your future after AI takes all the jobs, you're absolutely going to be disappointed. There's not one time in history where the government has not disappointed the people that are following them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's an interesting thing. There's an interesting dynamic that I see play out on my channel and in the comments. Hundreds, I mean, I've had thousands of comments over the past couple months. And what's interesting is there's two dynamics that kind of play out in this horseshoe here. One person says we can't trust the corporations at all because the corporations, they're greedy, they're going to just take all of our money, they're going to make us sit in this pigsty of nothingness. So we can't give all the money to the greedy capitalists. And the other side says, well, we can't give all the power to the politicians to take all of our information and allocate power. And the reality is we can come together on this topic. AI is happening, robotics are happening, but I think that it can be for the people if we play it out right. And in my opinion, the time to start preparing is now. Well, we can get into that in a moment on what we can do. But the reality is, I do think that there is going to be a role for humans to play, but it's hard to predict what that's going to look like because we don't even know what the entire world is going to look like in 10 years.
That is true, but it's funny because you say 10 years. Everything that I thought AI was going to do in 3 years is happening in 1 year. AI is growing at such an exponential pace that people that are planning for 10 years from now, they should move their timelines up to like 1 year, 18 months.
Maybe, but the problem is there's so much smoke and mirrors. There was a new robot that just dropped here today or yesterday on X called Neo, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
saw it, yeah.
And everyone's freaking
It's
out,
actually,
pre-ordering their Neos. Guys, those Neos are not autonomous robots. There are people that are net opting into these Neos to perform these tasks.
no, no, no,
The
no,
same
no,
thing
no, no,
happened.
no, 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 no. They are totally autonomous. Has nothing to do with a human being.
I don't know. I saw a post from Marquise Brownlee earlier today who said that those demos are not autonomous robots performing those tasks.
So he may have been taking a shot at Neo, and saying that it's not autonomous, but it's being sold as an autonomous robot that will do minor chores around the house, vacuuming, cleaning, walking your dog, whatever.
No, I mean, and I get the way they're positioning it. They're positioning it, and I don't, figure O3 has one. You've got Tesla Optimus, and I agree that these humanoid robots are going to be the real deal. I'm ready for the Tesla Optimus to fold my laundry and do my dishes. I'm ready for that,
Well, a
but
friend of
it's not
mine,
ready for that now. So, we're seeing these videos, we're seeing these promotions that are saying that it's capable now, but there was it's not ready there yet. So, will it be here in January, which I think is when the pre-orders are planning to go out for the Neo? Is it going to be 2026, 27, 28? It's hard to predict exactly when they're going to be ready for every home.
I can tell you right now, a friend of mine, Bill Perkins, has a Optimus robot at his house right now, and it does everything from dancing to cleaning to doing everything you need it to do.
Have you seen it? Have you interacted with it?
I've watched videos of him literally showcasing it on his property. It's crazy.
Uh,
I'm sending you his X account right now so you can see it yourself.
yeah, I want to see it. I'd love to pull it up here and check it out because I listen, I believe in this technology. I believe, I mean, Tesla is built on autonomous vehicles, but these autonomous robots are going to change the world. But I think that there's a little bit of panic. I think there's a little bit of unnecessary panic in the market right now. People are saying they have this belief that you're never going to be able to compete with AI or in a robot. So you might as well just give up. And I don't think that that's the right mentality. I don't think it's going to be healthy for tens of millions of young men to say, just give up. You can't compete. You might as well just sit down. I cannot buy into that mentality. I believe that there is a future. I believe that humans are created in the image of God. I believe that humans are destined for great things. I think that there's things that humans are going to be able to do that robots aren't going to be able to do.
I couldn't agree with you more, except for the fact that AI is going to create a massive vacuum for people that are just not driven human beings. They're not driven, and they do those lower end jobs, those warehouse jobs. Like for example, Uber is going to replace 7 million drivers with self-driving cars. In fact, here in Vegas, Amazon, which is not even in the self-driving car business, dropped 500 self-driving cars. So those 7 million people now have to find a way to make money other than Uber. The Amazon warehouse workers, about 600,000 are being replaced right now for the holidays. Those workers are relying on that 18 to $22 an hour job. Now they have to go out and find a job and hopefully get something comparable in pay. When you start looking at that whole lower level of people that are now being replaced by AI, you're now looking at a massive amount of people that don't have a way to make a living or grow their wealth or make enough money that their family can live a happy life. So I think what we're going to have is we're going to have anarchy and chaos. We're starting to see it. November 1st, Walmart's going to start shutting all their stores and make online ordering the only way you can shop because they're petrified of it being overrun by people that are going to shoplift. That's called anarchy. We're going to see anarchy as more human beings have hope removed from their workplace.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you there because I was watching the All In podcast the other day, and I made a post about this on my channel. But there was this thought process that all these jobs that people were doing, these kind of like I don't want to call it thoughtless, but jobs where you could just like I'm driving someone from point A to point B type of jobs, right? These jobs that are easily automated because it's very replicable, repeatable. Like there's a lot of jobs that are going to be lost there. But this is the point that David Friedberg was making on the All In podcast. He said, well, so all those jobs are going to be gone, those repeatable, quote unquote, mindless jobs. But what that's going to do is it's going to open up the opportunity for people to have more meaningful work and to perform more meaningful tasks. The problem is not everybody is going to want to do that more meaningful job. Not everyone is like, yeah, I'm excited to like become the best version of myself, to learn and to read and to sit back. Quite frankly, pretty much anyone listening to this episode now is probably not going to fall into that camp. But there
Maybe.
are tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people that will just scroll through TikTok aimlessly. They're not going to, I don't know what we're going to do with this entire book of people. There needs to be a seat at the table.
Well, I got to tell you, it's not just the low end jobs, the mindless jobs. Lawyers are being replaced by AI at a massive rate. I haven't used my real estate lawyer in over a year and a half for any of my real estate projects. If I need a new lease or a new real estate agreement, AI can knock it out in 5 minutes and probably as good, if not better than my lawyer could have. So you're seeing lawyers that are being displaced also. And that's going to be a big hurdle for those people because those people are expected to make high levels of income. Well, when you take away their ability to make money because they're no longer able to do legal work, now you've got anarchy there, but on a different level. You've got very intelligent individuals that now find themselves displaced.
Well, you're right. It's the white collar jobs that are at risk. It's the college educated. Well, so that's the other part. It's the college educated kids that just got out of $100,000 degree that can't find a job. It's the mid level managers at Amazon. Amazon just announced 30,000 corporate jobs are being removed. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of that. It's customer service. Salesforce just fired 45% of the customer service staff so they can use AI bots to handle phone calls. I mean, I know guys that are running auto mechanic shops for vast regions of Florida that have 15 to 20% of their bookings come from calls that are managed by AI bots. So, and this stuff is happening. However, I got to say that we are being sold this bill of goods that this stuff is perfect, that it's going to replace everything, that humans aren't going to be able to keep up. I have not seen that yet. I have not seen that. There's a lot of stuff that blows your mind right off the top. But when you start to dig in deep, you're like, okay, there are holes and there are cracks that still need to be filled by humans. Now, I'm not saying this stuff isn't going to get
Name
better.
one. Name one hole or crack that has to be filled by a human. Name one.
Okay. So I'll give you an example. Hop on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. AI video is everywhere, right? AI video is pretty fascinating at first. When you see it, wow, this is going to change the world, and you go and you start creating these Sora video clips. A lot of them are just complete AI slop. It's complete crap. Okay, and
I wouldn't call it complete crap. I would actually say it's almost like a Hollywood production, a low-end Hollywood production, especially some of the cartoon videos that I've seen. They're actually even like almost a mid to high value Hollywood production.
I think if you sit back, because I'm a creator at heart, I would agree that if you sit back and you're a creator and you put in the time and energy to develop the story, to create the prompts, to put the pieces together, it can get there. But what I'm saying is a lot of what we're seeing on Instagram now is a kid in Bangladesh hopping into Sora, typing in 2 sentences and posting it. And the entire internet is full of AI slop.
Well,
And
I'll give you an
there are,
example. I'll give you an
just by the
example.
way, there are like Netflix used AI to create some stunning visual effects in a movie earlier this year. So I'm not saying there's not a place for it.
Well, let me give you an example of something interesting. My friend's got a 13-year-old daughter. She wanted to learn how to get AI to work for her. I told her to create a cartoon series. She created 20-minute long cartoon series in AI that are very well done, like extremely well done. And she literally sells them for $4.95. In September, she made over $28,000 selling 20-minute, what I consider cartoon babysitters. They're long enough that a mother can give an iPad to her daughter or her child and let him be mentally occupied while she drives to the grocery store.
So here's a question. That's pretty amazing. That's a pretty amazing side business that could become a career for for this young lady.
Well, the funny thing is she's working on 10 more episodes. She's going to sell for $4.95 each. So she's got a business. She's got a real business. And it's only because of AI that she could even create those kind of videos. Like she couldn't create a Pixar quality video series without AI.
Well, sure. So you're bringing up kind of another interesting point, but I do want to, before we get into this idea that, well, now we can democratize creativity because you don't need $100 million movie budget to create high quality video. But what I am saying is if there's this idea that I'm going to open up a Sora account or a Google VO account, I'm going to type in some prompts and then AI is just going to create this amazing finished polished video. I don't see that happening. I see a talented young lady like you say your niece,
No, no, friend of mine's daughter.
right, your friend of yours, a talented young lady, a young woman like that is using the magic and the creativity inside of herself and harnessing this AI tool to create compelling video content. I have not seen anyone just type in something and then miraculously within 15 seconds, they have an entire episode. I have not seen that yet. Now, might
Well,
that
I mean,
happen?
it
Maybe.
didn't take her like 15 seconds. She spent hours writing the script, fine tuning it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it wasn't something that she did like at the snap of a finger.
Well, and that's my point, right, Chris? That's my point is that human is providing the value, providing instructions, providing that psychology to put the whole thing together. So, and that's kind of my point here, right? So to answer your question, going back, where does the human provide the value? Why are humans needed? Because of that. Because
Well, that human basically created the impetus and the creativity behind it. But more importantly, it was the AI that created the actual revenue stream.
well, the
But
AI by itself would not have created the revenue stream.
of
It
course,
was the vision
not
of
by.
that young girl who leveraged that tool to create the
No, I get it,
revenue
but
stream.
here's one girl that created that, where in the past it would create job, she would need to hire probably 10 other human beings to do specific roles, graphic design, animation, you name it, all these different job roles. AI ate up all those jobs and allowed this one little girl to create that entire production without the use of those other human beings. So while it gave her a great opportunity to use her creative skills to create revenue, AI also ate up all those jobs that typically would have been part of that process.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Like background actors, actors in commercials,
Voiceovers.
videographers, lighting crews. Like, yes, you're in deep trouble. But I think that, and to kind of go back to my original point, Chris, the task, that job, that income stream that your friend's daughter was able to create, she would not have been able to do that 5 years ago. This is
No.
a new, this is a new, video prompt engineer is a new job category that didn't exist. So the way that I look at this, we're seeing hundreds of millions of jobs disrupted. There's going to be new jobs. There's going to be new opportunities. There's going to be new things that people can do to feed their families and create additional streams of income. This idea that humans aren't going to have, it's honestly, it's a victim mentality. This victim mentality of the robots are going to take my job. AI is going to take my job. I'm not going to be able to do anything. It's their fault. I'm just going to sit down in my house and pass away and not take responsibility. The opportunities are going to be tremendous for the men and women who step up and say, "Oh, well, that's interesting. Well, maybe I could do this." That is, I think, the message I'm trying to preach is this stuff is going to happen. You might be able to delay a data center in your neighborhood for a period of time, but there's too much money, there's too much power. We're in a global competition here with other countries. Like this stuff is going to happen. So I cannot get behind it. And I know you guys in the YouTube comments are going to type this, Mark, we can't compete. The robots are better at everything. AI is better at everything. I understand, but I refuse to sit back and be a victim to this technology.
Well,
I
you
want to
don't
harness the technology.
yeah, you don't have to be a victim, but at the end of the day, you have to be aware. I tell people all the time, you have to be aware and you have to plan accordingly. Because if you literally don't get AI to work for you starting right now, like that little girl's getting AI to work for her by making videos and a series and a story, something that you can monetize and sell, something that solves a problem, which is basically a digital babysitter for parents. If you don't start planning right now to get AI to work for you, you are going to be left behind by those who do.
100%. And by the way, let's just back it up just a moment. I'm a father. I've got a 6-year-old son, a 9-year-old daughter. And when I go out to eat at a restaurant, what do I see? All the kids at the table, all the tables around me are on iPads. And most of the time, the parents are at their iPhones as well. When we're at a dinner table, we don't have iPads, we don't have phones out. We got a no phone rule, right? All those kids, and I don't want to knock on your friend's daughter here. I think that's a cool idea. I think that's a great idea. But I don't know the quality of the reality is there's a lot of people that are pumping out AI slop on YouTube, on social media, and feeding it to 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds who are going to be literally retarded and unable to come up with ideas for themselves. This is going to happen.
Well, I think at the end of the day, what you call AI slop might be somebody else's treasure trove. Like in many cases, she's creating a cartoon series that she could never do by herself and feeding it a storyline that is basically her creativity. And she's monetizing it. And I've seen the quality of her work. It's excellent. I mean, I'm telling you. And she used Google VO. I'm not kidding you. Everyone's excited about or hearing a lot about what OpenAI's, what's it called? You mentioned,
Sora,
what's it called?
Sora.
Sora. And the Grok 5 has a new editor, also a video editor. They're all pretty good. I actually think Google's is the best, but that doesn't matter. They're all really good. And you can
Listen, I don't disagree with you. I've got a friend who's got one of the largest podcasts in the world, very, very big podcast. And he's
and
right
Joe,
now
is it
using
Joe?
Google.
And does the last name rhyme with Togan?
No, it's not that big, not that big. He's got a very big true crime podcast. And what he
Oh,
and
he's
his
down
team
in
are,
Florida, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've heard about that guy.
So anyway, what he and his team are doing is they're using AI video on top of the stories in their podcast to bring it to life. So instead of going out on location and filming and hiring actors and actresses, they're redefining what it's going to take to create documentaries, right? So they can do an hour-long podcast, lay over B-roll of AI generated video to bring it to life. And they're crushing it. Their shorts are crushing it. And I'm not saying that you can't do that the right way. Like with everything, there's a good and bad. There's a yin and the yang. But there is still a layer of creativity behind the scenes of that AI. I got to come back to this idea because I see it all the time in my comments that woe is me, AI is taking my job, I'm screwed, nothing is out there for me. I don't think that's the case. I think there's
Well,
going to be new opportunities.
yeah, so while there's going to be opportunities for some, AI inherently is replacing many jobs that are part of the process that the some are using to monetize their creativity. So while I agree with you, there's going to be a whole bottom layer of people that are not creative, that are not driven, that are not understanding of the opportunity that they have to use AI to build a business. And those people are not doers, they're followers. They need to be told what to do. And those people are in trouble. I believe those people, they represent 30% of the population, maybe more.
Yeah, no, and I don't, again, I agree with you. That's why when I look at AI, I'm conflicted. I looked at AI through two lenses. On one lens, I'm like, this is amazing. It's going to be an enlightenment, of creativity that and there's going to be abundance and robots are going to free up time to do meaningful tasks and people are going to hunger for to human connection. So there's going to be all sorts of it's going to be a renaissance of creativity and new job opportunities. On the flip side, I see the French Revolution, where hundreds of millions of people globally are going to be displaced with unprecedented size and speed and scope. And it's going to be an insanely large problem. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm not as worried about the Terminator or these other types of problems. I'm concerned, like you said, about hundreds of millions of people finding themselves out of work in a quick period of time, and they're all trying to fight for the same electrician, plumbing, landscaping jobs at the same time, and they're not going to be able to feed their families. So how do we fix that? What is it? UBI? It's there's not great answers out there for me now, and it's going to be a very interesting time in human history as this rolls out over the next decade.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think at the end of the day, mankind just has to be aware, and they're just not. I don't think people are aware of what's happening today, not in 5 years, not in 3 years today. And if they're not aware right now and they don't literally shift their mindset from being a worker and a follower to a creator and a leader, if they don't start leading their lives and getting AI to work for them, we're going to see a massive amount of anarchy, shoplifting like has never been seen before. You're going to see stores basically locked up, and you're going to have to pay or have some sort of mechanism to get into the store, and that's going to cause anarchy. You're going to see people that are without hope, without jobs, have to resort to crime. And that's going to be a sad part of it. That's going to be a result of AI.
No disagreements there, but I do think, to your point, there is opportunity. Um, and it's just shocking to me how many people are sleeping on this. Just going through X over the past couple days, I'm seeing so many people completely shocked that Amazon is laying off 30,000 employees at their corporate. And I'm like, guys, 6 months ago, we saw Amazon hit 1 million robots in warehouses. They have almost more robots in warehouses than humans. This is not a surprise. And it's shocking to me. This is an interesting storyline that's happened recently. I look at Shamath Papatia and he's saying, guys, it's not AI. It's not robotics. This is
By the way,
just
shout out to Chamath. He's a very good poker player, way better than Phil Hellmuth, who's a walking fish cake.
Shamath is brilliant. He's brilliant.
He is.
But I think he's been posting on X that these layoffs are not a result of AI. They're a result of overhiring and market corrections. And a company has 1 million
Well, I think
employees and
he's
they're
wrong
shaving
there.
off.
I think it's a direct result of AI.
But that's the point. I mean, you're seeing AI, you're seeing Klarna, Salesforce, um, Accenture, TATA in India. All these companies are saying we're laying off people for AI and operational efficiency. Why would they say that if that's not the case? If there's a backlash for that, so I gotta say, Shamath, why are the companies saying it's AI if it's not AI? What would be the purpose of that?
Just same reason why companies lie to their employees all the time. I mean, the ultimate goal of a company is to bring shareholder value, and if they can literally replace humans with robots, that's ultimately going to increase shareholder value.
Well, and that is an interesting thing that we're seeing. I'm seeing this comment a lot. Again, the channel is reaching tens of thousands of people. I think we reached 100,000 people last month, thousands of comments. One of the comments I see quite frequently is, hey, Mark, it's actually not AI. The companies are just saying it's AI because they get a stock bump. And what I have seen is I cover all these companies that are laying off employees for quote unquote AI. They typically do get 4%, 5%, 6% bump the following day. Now it doesn't stay up. It'll peter off. But I do find it interesting that if a company lays off because they're forward thinking and they're innovating and they're clearing the fat for innovation in AI and automation, they get a stock bump. Maybe there is some foul play behind the scenes where companies like a big entity, let's pour in money, let's announce the layoffs, and then we get out on the back end. Maybe something like that is happening. Maybe.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of these companies are laying people off also because they had redundancy, and now AI is outshining that redundancy. They just had too many people doing the same job, and now AI is showcasing that redundancy.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that, as an employer, you want to let the cream rise to the crop. So clear
Cream,
everything out,
cream rise to
creates
the crop.
the cream rise to the top. Clear out, separate the wheat from the chaff, right? So to your point, let's lay people off. Let's create pressure. Let's create some stress. Let's create AI training incentives, and let's see if we can produce diamonds. And the companies that figure that out are going to be trillion-dollar companies. The companies that don't are going to copy the companies that figure it out. So, I think the writing is on the wall as far as um, companies firing, leveraging AI, leveraging automation, trying to increase profits, share, holder value, and then readjusting from there. I mean, we saw Klarna do that earlier this year. Klarna laid off a massive amount of their customer service staff, realized that the quality control had dropped below an acceptable threshold, and started hiring people back. And I think that that's a pretty reasonable way to look at this technology.
I couldn't agree with you more. At the end of the day, whether people, believe that AI is going to steal their job or whether they're going to find a way to get AI to work for them, people have to make a choice right now. And that choice is, do I literally leverage this technology to work for me, or do I wait for it to ultimately take my job away from me? And that's literally the only choice that people have to make right now today. And a lot of people are sleeping on the job. Oh, I'm an electrician, and my job is safe. I work in a warehouse. My job, no, your job's not safe. There's no job that AI could not do that they couldn't do better than a human being. That's fact.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there are things that humans are still going to do. But I will say this. Let's say, for example, that you're an electrician. Great example. I think people would say that electricians is a fairly safe job right now. Data centers, lots of building. Okay. But let's say that 5 million jobs of people, 5 million people get fired. What are they going to do? They're going to look for new jobs, and they might end up going into the electrical field. So now you're not competing against 100,000 electricians. I don't know the actual amount of electricians. You guys can flame me in the comments. But let's say there's 100,000 electricians now. Well, now there's 300,000 electricians. So your wages are dropped, your competition is heavier. Maybe gives you more opportunity, but it's also going to create more stress and pressure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Talk a little bit about what you're doing over the next 12 months. What's on your roadmap?
Yeah, so it's adapt, adapt, adapt. I'm in marketing, and I don't necessarily want to bore people. I'm very interested in answer engine optimization, how to get your company and product to show up in ChatGPT, in Perplexity, in Claude. How do I show up in LLMs? When someone types in electrician near me, does my company show up? Right. I think that's endlessly fascinating, diving into a lot of that when it comes to YouTube, traditional SEO, Reddit. But
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, we're seeing this take off. I was listening to a pod on Lenny's podcast the other day. I can't remember the exact name. Anyway, I was listening to a podcast the other day, um, and he was saying, and they were talking about how people that land on your website from ChatGPT are 6 times more likely to convert because they're going through
Interesting.
this long tail of question and answer. They're developing trust, and by the time they've gotten to the bottom of the long tail of their questions, well, they're pretty much already sold on you and on your website. So this is kind of like the Wild West. It's kind of like what Google SEO looked like 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
And then you get
Um,
lots of chopping up with by the way, how screwed, sorry about that. How screwed is Google, by the way, with all these AI platforms literally dominating search?
I mean, Google, Alphabet, huge company. I think they'll be all right. They'll figure it out. But they do have a problem. The traditional model of SEO is their market share is diminishing dramatically. If
Dramatically.
if your business is fully reliant on Google SEO to drive leads and traffic to your website, you have another thing coming because answer engine optimization, LLM optimization
Shout
is
out to that old
different.
rock song, You Have Got Another Thing Coming.
It's coming. It's coming. It's going to be different. It's
Yeah,
different.
the road ahead is definitely going to be different. And here's the funny thing. I think everyone thinks it's going to be different like in 6 months. It's going to be different every single day. Like you're going to see every single day for the next 6 months, things changing at an exponential pace because AI is now growing on top of AI. And that's what I literally see happening. Everything that I thought was going to happen in 2, 3 years has already happened and then some in 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And I'll have more information on LLM search and answer engine optimization in the future as I'm kind of testing with some clients. But well, I do just want to leave somewhat, all the business owners with something practical when it comes to engine optimization. You can already track conversions from ChatGPT right now. If you go to your website and you check the UTM source, ChatGPT, you can see how much traffic you're getting from ChatGPT already. A. B, if you're not getting any traffic, there's some things you can do like write blogs, search engine optimization, YouTube videos. Reddit is huge. It ranks very high when it comes to citations. And then C, this one is super easy, guys. You can do this right now. Talk to your web developer and just make sure that your website is crawlable by LLMs. Some people, you may have your site turned off for crawlability from these LLMs. Just make sure it's turned on, because if your site can't be crawled, it cannot be cited. And you definitely want to show up. This is some low hanging fruit.
I couldn't agree with you more. Talk a little bit about how you overcome fear as an entrepreneur and how people can get control of their mindset so that fear doesn't hold them back.
Well, I mean, faith in Christ is a good start. Having faith that God's in control, but I'm going to act like I'm in control. So I'm going to take actions, but I'm going to trust that God's in control. But here's some tangible, practical advice in addition to that, because that's number one. We're going through a time of a lot of uncertainty, as we've talked about. AI is coming for everyone's job in some way, shape, or form. It's going to change things. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that I'm learning new skills. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm reading books. I'm interacting. I'm testing tools. It's specific to my industry too. You don't just need to look at general tools. What are specific tools in my industry that are changing the game? I want to do this publicly. I want everybody to know that I'm looking at these. I'm interested in them, because your social media profile, your LinkedIn profile, your YouTube profile is going to have a direct impact on the way that you're hired and the clients that you find. That's B. And then here's the challenge that I would give everyone. It's something that I've taken a lot more responsibility in, is the relationships that I have. There are people in your Rolodex you haven't talked to in a long time. And so here's my challenge to anybody that's still listening at this point. The next time you get in your car, look in your Rolodex. Who's someone you haven't talked to in a while, but you respect? Give them a call, check in, see how things are going. Because the reality is that moving into this day and age of AI slop and automation and fake it till you make it, the number one thing that's going to matter is the relationships that you have and the people that you can really connect with. I mean, it's an old adage in sales. People don't buy products, they buy from people that they like. So the challenge is, next time you get in the car, pop open your phone and call someone you haven't talked to in a while.
Great advice. Mark, we got to do this again sometime soon. We
Yeah,
should do
Chris,
it down
appreciate
in
you, bud.
Fort Lauderdale next week.
Yeah, you're gonna love it down there. Fort Lauderdale's a great place. I'm in Tampa now, so I'm loving it up here, man.
The Hard Rock Hotel and Casino is a great place. They have an amazing spa. If I can't be found, I'll be in the spa hanging out for a while.
Great steakhouse, great pool, cool hotel.
Sounds good. He's Mark Savant. Great talking to you, man. Hold on.